Hey guys, I want to show you two more builds right here for the UTTU challenge, Tourney in the Fog in reverse 1999. And the first build that we're gonna talk about is based around a poison team. So you have to have characters that excel at spreading poison and working around poison in many different ways. Like for example, the best combination of characters you can have for such a team would be Willow and Tuesday, but yeah, there are more characters in this game that evolve around poison, such as Sotheby for example. But yeah, now let's talk about the cards and take a look at the core card here, the most important card that you have to have for this build, which is Bold Confrontation. And what it does is, at the start of the round, if the enemies are inflicted with 10 or more instances of poison combined, so yeah, all of your D-stacks on all your enemies combined have to be 10 or more. Then you gain a new incantation called Poison Fusion. What it does is, it immediately resolves all poison effects on all enemies. So every single stack of poison on every single enemy triggers immediately, right? It's a huge chunk of damage here. The more stacks of poison you have on the enemies, the more this incantation will obviously do when it comes to damage. Furthermore, if the enemies are inflicted with 20 or more instances of poison combined, the enemy poison statuses do not increase in duration on resolve for this round. So yeah, as soon as you have 20 or more instances of poison spread across all your enemies, you don't have to worry anymore about your poison stacks running out at some point, because usually poison stacks last for 2 rounds. But yeah, with this card, if you have 20 or more instances of poison spread, your poison does not resolve anymore, so you don't have to worry about that. Then, after an enemy dies, you cast an additional Poison Fusion on a random enemy, and this can trigger up to 2 times per round. So whenever you kill an enemy, you deal a huge chunk of damage for killing that enemy. And yeah, that's all about this card. All you need to do is you need to spread poison, which yeah, our team and our other cards are perfectly made to do so. Again, Willow and Tuesday go perfectly together here, because yeah, the best damage dealer in the poison team is Willow, and Tuesday helps a whole lot with this, because poison cannot naturally crit, but Tuesday makes it so that poison can actually crit. And yeah, this would prove to be like the best setup possible, of course, right? But now let's look at the second card the second Verton card in fact that we use on a poison team, and that is simply T-Break. And what it does is, when entering battle, get Moxie -3 and Moxie consumption -3. At the end of the first 3 rounds, all allies gain 1 Moxie. This will just help you tremendously in terms of unlocking your ultimate abilities as fast as possible. Which yeah, this card here, T-Break, is just overall very, very broken and just extremely good. That could be slotted into pretty much every team, but we also slotted into this poison setup because it is just that good and helps us a lot here. And so with our main setup of characters and our main setup of cards being covered, let's go and take a look at what individual cards we slap onto each of our characters. You can completely ignore the characters that I use here, right? Just ignore it. Only look at the cards that I actually use. So what you want to have is, first of all, the small room. Because when entering battle, inflict Genesis damage taken plus 50% on all enemies for 4 rounds. You can only have one of those cards set up, right? Why is this so brilliant? Because poison, the damage that poison deals is Genesis damage, and we increase the Genesis damage that we deal on our enemies here by 50%, which makes all our poison damage 50% more potent. Needless to explain how this is extremely strong. Then you want to have Storytelling Fanatic in your lineup. That does, after an ally attacks and causes an enemy to die, all poison statuses on that enemy are transferred to another random enemy, which will be the enemy with the lowest amount of HP at the time. So that ensures that you will never lose the stacks of poison that you have already inflicted, because even if an enemy dies, those are transferred to another enemy. Brilliant, right? Furthermore, you want to have Welcoming Hostess. So, quick note here. This card is not available in the at the highest rarity. It's not a fame card. You have to obtain this card as a star rarity. Just a quick side note. What it does is, when attacking with at least 2 instances of poison, inflict 2 instances of poison on the main target for 2 rounds, then randomly inflict 1 instance of poison on another enemy target for 2 rounds, and you repeat this 2 times. So you will always attack with 2 instances of poison, and when you do, you just inflict more and more and more poison. So if you attack with at least 2 instances of poison, you inflict 4 more instances of poison on the main target and 2 instances of poison on another random enemy target. So to say it short, when you spread poison, you spread more poison. That's really what it is. And that's exactly what we want, right? This is the whole purpose of our team here. And last but not least is Cliché Ploy. Because when attacking an enemy that has 5 or more instances of poison, which our enemies will always have, then you inflict a Genesis damage taken plus 10% on the main target for 2 rounds, and this can stack up to 5 times, right? So yeah, remember, the Genesis damage on all our enemies is already increased by 50%, and with this you can stack this up, right? You can make this 100% in the best case scenario. So Genesis damage is the damage that our poison deals, and there you go, that's the whole purpose of our team. And with this setup, your poison team the damage of your poison team will increase at the maximum potency. You cannot increase your poison damage more than with this setup. So this is perfect, and this is going to be your build if you play any poison team, but especially if you have Willow and Tuesday in your lineup, then this is pretty much the must play setup of cards that you have to have here. So that's about this poison setup. Now let's move on to a setup that evolves all around using your ultimate abilities. Let's take a look at our Vertin cards first one more time. And the first Vertin card that we want to use here is Epic Head. And what it does is, when you enter at the beginning of the battle, all enemies lose 25% of their max HP. Yeah, this is, you want to come out of the gate swinging. You immediately deal 25% damage to all of your enemies, and you look to obliterate them with the help of your ultimate abilities immediately and as fast as possible. And remember the card that I showed you before and told you how broken it is? We use that card here in this lineup as well, which is again T-Break. This makes it so that you have access and unlock access to your ultimate abilities as fast as you possibly can. And yeah, this is a key card for this setup, of course. Although, yeah, keep in mind this card is broken in general, but in this lineup right here, that evolves all around using our ultimates, this card shines specifically. And those were our Vertin cards. Now let's take a look at the other individual cards. Again, ignore the characters that I use. Although 6 here is a very good character, of course, because you want to have characters in your lineup that deal like the most amount of damage possible with their ultimate abilities. You want 4 characters here in your lineup that deal a tremendously high amount of damage with their ultimates. So look at your lineup of heroes, of characters that you have available to yourself. Choose the 4 that deal the most damage with their ultimates. And that's just gonna be your lineup here. And the cards that you wanna use are, for one, a moment for reflection. Because when entering battle, you grant Moxie +2 to all of your characters. That means that combined with the Vertin card that we use, we only lack right now 1 single Moxie to already have our ultimates ready for every single character. So this is absolutely amazing. Furthermore, the second card that you want to use here is the Passing of Wisdom. Because after casting an ultimate, other allies gain 20 stacks of Ceremonious. What Ceremonious does is, it increases your ultimate might, so the damage that your ultimate deals, by 3%. And this stacks up to 100, this can have 100 stacks. And you all immediately get 20 stacks of this onto all of your characters, you know. So this increases the damage that your ultimates actually deal by a significant amount. And this happens, you gain 20 stacks every time you cast an ultimate with the character that this card is equipped to. So incredibly strong. And then we move on to a card that you actually use twice. You use this on your 3rd and your 4th character. Keep that in mind, right? This card right here, a Chilly Sun, you use that twice. So after actively casting an incantation, swap positions with the ally behind. Then both gain 25 stacks of Ceremonious, okay? You can ignore this swap position thing here. What you want is you gain 25 stacks of Ceremonious after you actively cast an incantation. And that's exactly what you want to do. You want to cast an incantation, you get the Moxie for your ultimate, and not only that, but you also provide 25 stacks of Ceremonious to 2 of your characters. So again, Ceremonious increases the damage dealt with your ultimates by 3. And you gain 25 stacks of this immediately after you just simply casted an incantation, which is something that you will do anyways. And yeah, that's the whole point, right? You get access to your ultimate abilities very, very fast. You stack up on this Ceremonious buff as quickly as you possibly can, and that way your ultimate abilities will deal even more damage as you go. And after like you casted your ultimate abilities with all of 4 of your characters, like twice, maybe 3 times, the battle is over right there, and you will be able to do this really quickly. And that's it. That's your build. Those are all the cards that you use. And yeah, those are the 2 builds and setups for Tourney in the Fog that I wanted to show you today. We now have covered a build all around basic incantations, which was covered in my last video, and in this one we covered a poison team and a team that is based around using their ultimates. So yeah, at least one of those builds should fit one of your teams perfectly, and you should have no issue clearing this UTTU challenge in reverse 1999 without any issue. So that's it for the video. If you like, I hope that was informative and fun, first of all, but if you enjoy reverse 1999 content in general, please consider leaving a follow on my channel. I would really appreciate that. But until next time, take care of yourselves, have a great day, and bye bye.